Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to carve your own stamps using stamp carvers, also how to sharpen them, and I'm going to show you some examples of ones I've already made. So what I'm working on today is a big eraser from the Dollar Tree. This is an example of some like easy cut material that you can buy. It's really flexible. This is really old, so it might crumble a little bit when I cut it, so I'm not going to use this today. I'm going to use this big eraser from the Dollar Tree because I know it's pretty easy for everyone to find an eraser. And you don't have to use a really big one. Now on the back, I kind of did some test cuts because I knew these tools were old and kind of rusty and needed some sharpening. So I just kind of tested some, sharpened them, tested them again. And you can also practice carving on the back side of your big eraser. You could do a couple erasers, a couple stamps out of this, so it's kind of fun. So what I would do, like, just sketch on with a ballpoint pen. Ballpoint works really well with this. And then what I like to do is kind of outline a shape and move my eraser as I go so that I'm not carving towards myself. And this is a speedball. These are all speedball cutters. This is a number 2 V gouge. Now if you thought, well geez, this isn't very sharp, I feel like I need to sharpen it, I got this sharpening stone at the Dollar Tree. There's a rougher side that's darker and a lighter side here, and you can use it wet or dry. And if you do use it wet, I would use a little oil, like a little, you know, light machine oil, sewing machine oil. And I really like these big ones rather than the small pocket ones you can get, because I can put my blade down and I can find the angle and I can drag it the full length. And I find that I get a much sharper blade, and I'm not you know, I don't have any experience really sharpening, but I can handle this much better than a little pocket stone. And on those, I don't feel like I get a very sharp blade. And what I try to do is I just try to like put it down there, lift it up until I feel like I've got the angle of that blade on there, and just pull it back. But, you know, obviously check out a video from like an actual, you know, sharpening person if you want to get really good sharpening advice. Then after I would do that, I would change my blade, and this is how you change it. And typically you can get the handle with like a set of 6 blades for under $15. I would take my handle, loosen it, and then I would put down one of my U-gougers, or one of my ones that look more like a box here that looks like more like a square, and I would use that. And you just loosen it up, you put it in there, and mine are, you know, older, so they want to give me a little trouble because, you know, they've been stored in a basement, not the best place to store it. I usually store it in a drawer with some silica packets that I save from different things just to keep them from rusting as much as possible. Then I can clean up around my design, like say if this is just going to be like a solid heart. And then, like, when I was happy with it, I would actually cut it out with either an X-Acto knife or the flat blade that comes with the kit. And there are other brands. Speedball's probably the easiest to find and the most well-known brand of cutter. You can actually test it after you have after you've done your first cuts to see how it stamps. But I think it's a really good idea to practice on the back and then save the front area that doesn't have any printing on it for your final stamp. And that's basically what I would do. I would gouge a little bit deeper, but I don't want to go too deep on this back side because we are going to be working on the front, and I don't want to have an uneven surface. Before we get on to this, like the real thing we're going to carve, I want to show you some examples of things I've carved in the past. And basically what I would do if I saw like a kind of a trendy stamp theme, like all of a sudden there are feathers everywhere, so I just carved some feathers and some paisley so I could use them on cards. Kites are really popular, so I just made up a few kites. So are clouds, so are pockets, and different motifs like that. When watercolor flowers became popular about 10 years ago, I made my own because I couldn't afford the stamp sets that came out, and this way I could use my own creativity. And keys, I love keys. I actually traced a bunch of vintage keys that I had, and I made these stamps. So the sky's the limit, and actually what's kept me from making this tutorial for so long is trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to carve. And then I thought, you know what would be fun? A cute little camera that would look cute in our planners or our scrapbook pages. So the first thing I like to do is switch over to one of my smaller gougers, and I think I will go with the number 1. And again, these all can be found, you can replace them individually. I think that's a 2. You can replace them individually, or you can I have 2 number 2 gougers here. How did that happen? Hang on a second, I'm gonna go grab a number 1. Oh, here we go. No, actually, because I used to teach workshops, I have plenty of these handles. Just some of them are kind of hard to move now because they're kind of old and rusty. But I did find one that had a number 1 in it and ready to go, so I just sharpened it. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to carve my details out. And I just sketched this on really quick. So I'm going to go in here in this rectangle. And I thought something with basic shapes like this would be good to start with if you're a beginner, but you really can get some really amazing detail with these carvers. So, and these are linoleum carvers, that's the actual name of them. So if you enjoy this, I highly recommend you pick up a set of carving blades and like an eraser and have some fun with it. And then I'm gonna do all my details actually. It's a lot easier, I think, to move the eraser. Hopefully I'm staying in frame, than it is to move the cutter. And I also think it kind of keeps you from damaging your fingers. I remember when we used to do linoleum in high school, we'd always end up with injuries because it was such a hard material to cut. And erasers and the new soft carve blocks are so much easier. Now I gotta figure out exactly what I want to be dark and what I want to be light when I finish a stamp. So do I want the camera body dark? Do I want, and if I want an area dark, I want to make sure that I keep it solid. If I want an area to be light, then I need to carve it out. So I think I'm going to carve out this inner square and leave the circle plain. I'm going to carve out these 3 little squares and probably carve out the circle on the top of the little flash bulb there. I really wanted to have this kind of vintage camera vibe. I thought it'd be really cute also on like maybe mail art to use this. So when I'm making a stamp, I like to make something that I can't buy or that I don't have. And I think I probably don't carve so much now because I have so many stamps. Now here, because I'm coming up to a line, I want to start at that line and go out. That way I'm not going to have an overcut. And you know, you might be seeing this white line behind it. It's just basically I'm denting the rubber there. It's not making a cut. It's actually been quite a while since I've done any stamp carving. I did a video a couple of years ago, and I'll put a link in the video description, or hopefully even on the video so you can see it. I think I'm gonna move over. I think I'll get a cleaner cut if I just go right in with the kind of square looking blade. See this one, that's why that one's stuck in there. That's why I have that one in there. Yeah, I'm not working with the newest materials right now. Actually, I did recently order a new set of blades and a handle, and darned if I know what I did with it. I'm gonna just kind of scoop out around my design here. I probably shouldn't have sketched this so close to the edge, and I'm starting close to the edge and carving away from my design. When impossible, carve away from your design if you're trying to remove background. That way you don't slip and accidentally carve too much. And it doesn't have to be too clean because I like to carve. I like to take my X-Acto knife, and actually I prefer my X-Acto knife to the flat blade that comes in the kit, and then I just trim around it when I'm all done. After I've done my test stamps and I can see, you know, what I want to remove and not. I do like to leave it attached to the main block until I am all done, just so I have something to grab onto. There's a little tip for you there. But you know, if you only want to do small stamps, you can get a package of small white plastic erasers. Those will work fantastic for this. And if you hear any noises upstairs, this is a Sunday afternoon, and I was like, oh, I don't have a video today. What should I do? I should do something. My husband's watching the Patriots. My son's watching the Patriots. The girls are upstairs playing. I was like, you know what I could do? I could do that video I've been promising everybody. Now here, I'm actually I want a square or a rectangle. I'm gonna go in from 2 sides. I'm gonna scoop in from one side. I'm not gonna cut it off. I'm gonna go in from this side, and I'm gonna plunge in and lift up. Okay, so that should give me a fairly smooth shape. Now you don't get it right on your first try. It's a process. You'll do we'll do 2 side by side here. You end up stamping it and seeing how it looks, and then using that to decide where you want to remove more. That's just kind of how the process goes. This gouger might be a little big for this area. You just keep using your own kind of preference for how you want to approach it, if that makes any sense. I mean that you're going to be more comfortable with certain whoops, I'm sorry for moving that out of frame. You're going to be more comfortable with certain blades than others. You're going to have your favorite. You know, I like the scoopy looking one. I also like the rounder ones for removing background. And that's fine. You'll find ones that you like a lot. And you can sharpen these, or you can just buy replacements if you don't want to deal with that. So it's nice to have those options as well. So we're basically just removing all of this excess. And as you can see, it's a fairly fast process. I keep wanting to pull this closer to me because I'm kind of reaching out a little bit. I would recommend that you get yourself in a comfortable position and that, you know, you're not distracted while you're working on a project like this with the blades, because you don't want to be looking up and then, you know, ramming one of these into your finger. I do need to switch to a smaller blade to get this bit out, and hopefully I know I have a couple of U-gougers. I don't know if I have both of them here. I think I'll probably need the number 2 V-gouge here. That's funny, I thought I had one of each when I started. They also make pull style cutters that are designed to be able to pull your designs safely. So if you're interested in that, those are also available. So they have like kind of a hook. The blade is like on a hook, so at the end, and you just kind of pull that, and it works with the same handles. It's just a different type of cutter, and you may find it a little bit more comfortable if you prefer to pull the blade instead of pushing it. Maybe if you're more used to using an X-Acto knife, a pull blade might be a little bit more comfortable for you. I did buy a package of them at one point, but I'm telling you, I've really got to do some more organizing here, but that's probably not going to happen until after Christmas, because I am always really busy this time of year, as we all probably are. Alright, I'm just trying to neaten up this area here, and I'm going to neaten up the other squares, and then we'll do our first kind of sample print, because really this is printmaking. I used to do block print Christmas cards, and I had one that I really loved, and the block broke. I would have loved to have shared that with you. It was an angel and a cherub, just kind of down on one knee, and it was just so cute, and I really liked that. And I did those for Christmas one year, and actually some people framed theirs that I sent them, because it was a limited print, hand pulled print. It was a lot of fun. I remember doing that in my first studio that I ever had outside of my house that I rented. It was just fun memories to think back at that, at creating that. Okay, before I go any further, I'm gonna test print it. And you know what I like to do? I like to wipe it before I do a print, just in case there's any crumbs on here. I don't want that on my ink pads, because it does kind of contaminate them if you get this isn't so bad. Some are worse. Okay, so we're gonna see what we have here, and then I'll be able to see very easily what I need to remove. And we'll just stand that right there. And you don't need cushion on these like a regular rubber stamp, because they're pretty cushiony. Okay, so looking at that, I'm not going to concern myself with this because that's going to be cut away. I'm just going to smooth out some of these lines, and that's pretty much what I set out to do. I wasn't going to do anything fancy because I did want to keep this into like a normal tutorial. I think I'm going to go into my U-gouge real quick and round that corner. It's hard to see because it's going to print in reverse. It's kind of hard to tell what you're going to have. Oh, that's a U-gouge. That's a bigger U-gouge. It looks almost like a V. Actually, it might be a V. It's number 3V, I think. It looks just a little too V-ish to be U-ish, I guess. Does that make sense? I just want to kind of round over that edge a little bit. There we go. I think that's good. And also, after you've printed it, and you can see that where the parts you want to remove are. I can see that I've got this double line in here, which you can keep. It just has a very block printy look. Completely up to you. You know, and you could put lines and marks, you know, just do very light grazing of the surface so that you get some cool textures. That is totally fine. Totally acceptable. Just depends on what you want for your project. Oh, I think I might have kind of messed that up, so I think I'm going to go into the smaller blade and actually make that a larger rectangle, because I think I just messed it up. You're not going to fight with your blades as much as I am either, because you'll be using probably newer blades. Yeah, that one's not quite deep enough. I'll go with the number 2 gouge here. The number 1 is just too shallow. It won't. Oh my. I need to find my newer set, I think. I should probably pause this. If this is terribly tedious and boring for you, then go ahead and skip ahead. I just want to make that a little bit larger. And I haven't done this in a while, I'll tell you, so I am probably not going to be the speediest. It has been a while. And I just want to clear off any black I see on areas that I do not want to print. That's basically what I'm doing here. And you do want your lines fairly deep, because the deeper the lines are on the outside, or the deeper the gouges are on the outside of your stamp, the less chance you are of getting ink, that halo of ink where you don't want it. Alright, we're going to do another stamp, and then I'm probably going to be all set to cut this out. So let's wipe that again, make sure there's no debris. Ink it up. Inky, inky, inky. Oh, that looks better. It looks more like a camera now, doesn't it? This is going to be kind of tough to cut through all this rubber. This is really thick. It's much thicker than the blocks that I buy. All right, I get a little camera there. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my X-Acto knife, because I really don't like to use the blade. And the reason why is the blade is only beveled on one side, and my X-Acto knife is beveled on both sides. I just find like I get a much better slice. It's easier, and if it's easier to cut, I'm less likely to cut myself doing it. And then I have a bunch of extra rubber to use for something else. So that's kind of a benefit of having the bigger blocks, because I'm just slicing off these little pieces, because you have a little more options. And at $1, you could do a lot with that piece. I do know they also have, at least at my Dollar Tree, they have like packs of 6 just regular plastic white erasers, which are actually quite nice for watercoloring if you do, because they don't abrade your paper too much when you're trying to erase your watercolor marks. So that's another reason to have those on hand. And I wouldn't stock up. I would probably buy it as you need it. So if you want to go buy like the commercial stamp mounts or stamp carving stuff, I just wouldn't stock up too much, because I think they do kind of get dried up and harder to carve with age. So I probably wouldn't buy more than you're going to use in like a year or two. Okay, and you know, I could be a little neater with this, but I am trying to be respectful of your time. And let's ink that up and see what we get for our final impression. Oh, you know what? Let me get this hard edge here off. No, ink pads love to find those hard edges. There we go. And I don't think I need to do anything about the crumbs there, because I don't think we have any crumbs. Look at that. It's a cute little camera. I like it. It's adorable. You could do a heart on the lens area too. So let's see. And you can also use like paint and other things like that. So there, it's a cute little stamp. It's very easy. I hope you give it a try. Again, I'll show you some of my other examples in case you want to try something different. You know, just get used to the different, like I did some little cameo, the cameo, that's what I did on the other video I did, was the cameo. But you know, when I had the hankering for a stamp that I didn't have, I would just carve my own. And different brands come in different colors. Speedball actually makes a pink one, but all the easy cut types of blocks, or speedy cut, easy cut, there's all different kinds. They all work pretty equally as well, and an eraser is exceptionally easy to carve, and they do last pretty well. I don't notice them crumbling or kind of breaking apart or anything, so it's definitely something to try if you've never done it before. I want to thank you so much for watching. I apologize for how long it's taken me to get this video to you. I would love it if you gave me a thumbs up. It really helps my channel, and share it with other friends that want to try this amazingly fun craft. I want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting.